Let's move ahead. We come now to psychoanalysis. Founded by Sigmund Freud in the late 19th century, 1890 to 1930 was the period of his uh, most productive period of his work. Let's slightly clarify two words that we use: psychoanalysis and psychoanalytic psychotherapy. Usually we use the two as synonyms, but actually they are not synonyms. When we say psychoanalysis, we refer to it in a very wide way, analysis of the psyche, which need not necessarily be for therapy. It is an analysis of the psyche, need not necessarily be for therapeutic purpose. Therapy can be a small part of that larger analysis. But when we say psychoanalytic psychotherapy, we are narrowing down to a psychotherapy which is based upon the knowledge of psychoanalysis. Now, there are two types of patients who can come. In India, of course, we have patients who come to us only because there is a problem to be solved. So what we do is usually psychoanalytic psychotherapy. But there are some patients who will come and say that I really don't want to focus on a problem, but I want to analyze myself, know myself. It's a more Socratic motivation. So when there is that Socratic motivation to know oneself, so I was saying we can have two types of patients. Patients who come for a problem to be solved. There we apply psychoanalytic psychotherapy. Second group of patients, which we usually don't get in India, but outside of India, some places you can find them, is patients coming and saying, I want to know myself. It's a more Socratic motivation. And when psychoanalysis is done for that Socratic motivation, then we use the word psychoanalysis. In the West, you can look at Woody Allen, Alfred Hitchcock, very popular figures in Hollywood. And they were deeply interested in psychoanalysis. Both of them were into analysis for a long time. And their analysis, by and large, would be, I presume, not only focused on problem solving, but in general on life. So this, and then you have the training analyst, people who train themselves to become psychoanalytic psychotherapists. When they go in for therapy, their therapy also is more broadly contoured into psychoanalysis. So psychoanalysis you can see being practiced in the true sense in training analysis, and in case of some people who have Socratic motivation, like Woody Allen, Alfred Hitchcock, and many others. What we get is patients who say, I have a problem to be solved. So we practice largely psychoanalytic psychotherapy. Now, what are the schools in psychoanalysis which are very popular? These schools were founded by people on the left. Sigmund Freud, his school we call the Freudian school. Melanie Klein, Kleinian school. Carl Jung, Bion, Winnicott, Kohut, and Lacan. Correspondingly, you have the names of the schools. Now, every school should have ideally a model of the mind, some idea on pathogenesis, and some idea on healing method. Unfortunately, many of the schools don't have all the three. So there are many schools which don't go into the model of the mind. They only go into pathogenesis and the healing method. For example, Freud goes into model of the mind. Klein does not go into it. Carl Jung goes into model of the mind. Beyond Winnicott, Kohut, they don't go into model of the mind. Lacan goes into model of the mind. So there are schools which have a distinct idea on model of the mind. There are schools which are more process oriented. They are not so concerned about the model of the mind, but they identify a few processes which they believe are responsible for pathology. So two types of broad schools we have in psychoanalysis. Any questions anybody has? Yes, please.
We used to have a division called post-Freudians and neo-Freudians. Is it still valid?
Yeah, you still have a large group called the post-Freudians and neo-Freudians. What has happened is Freud himself, on the whole, is no longer in the center of popularity. So, just as in the area of fashion, you have a catwalk where models put on the garments and do a catwalk, and that goes on for 3 months, and after 6 months, you have a new season, new collection. So, in the intellectual area, also, there is a catwalk of ideas that every decade you have a new flavor of the month kind of thing. So, as it goes now, Freud is not at the center. But every 25 years, people rediscover the worth of it, and somebody always comes after 25 years to say, back to Freud or return to Freud. Yes, please. So let us look at all the schools in psychoanalysis and look at the conceptual. So let us look at all the schools in psychoanalysis and let us look at the conceptual basis of each school, and then we will get into the more defining details. In psychoanalysis, schools of Freud, Adler, Wilhelm Reich, Lacan, and so on, they are called drive schools. Now, you don't have to know what is on the right-hand side. As the course progresses, automatically you will know. But just focus on the left-hand side. What is the logic of drive schools? Drive schools believe that pathology is created when a drive is frustrated, meaning there is a strong desire and there is a strong constraint to the desire, and the desire bottles up. It can be a sexual desire, it can be an aggressive desire, it can be a desire based upon greed, but there is a strong drive, and the drive is frustrated by reality or morality. So this is the basis of the drive school, that the drive is bottled up by reality or morality. Or rather, I have to say more correctly, the movement of the drive is bottled up by, frustrated by reality or morality. The second category of psychoanalytic schools are schools of Klein, Bion, and many others. They are what is called object relation schools. So they believe that a large part of pathology is rooted in difficulty of object relations. Object meaning any entity to whom we are relating emotionally or intellectually. So object is not a humiliating or insulting word. It is a very neutral word in psychoanalysis. Even a person is called an object, not to denigrate him, but it's a technical word. Object meaning anything which is a recipient of our movement of thought or feeling. So our thoughts and feelings are related to something, towards something. Whatever that entity is the object. So this school believes that in early life, especially the first 3 years, what happens in our relationship with the breast, with the mother, and everyone else, that determines our well-being or our susceptibility to pathology. So they believe it is the relationship which is at the center, not so much the drive. There is a third category of schools which is called the ego psychology schools of Anna Freud and Hartman. They believe it is the functioning of the ego and the defenses which ego uses that is more important than the drive or the object relations. So they place a lot of emphasis on ego, ego strength, ego efficiency, and the defenses which ego uses. Then there is the self-psychology approach, very different from the above three. And this believes that there is something called healthy self or unhealthy self, which is created in early life, and that is based upon how empathic and admiring and attention paying people around us are in the early part of our life. If people around us are very critical or neglecting or attacking or not empathic, they can't get what we are feeling or trying to say. They are not good enough to be idealized and internalized. Then we don't develop a healthy self. We develop some sort of fragile, unhealthy self, and that leads to various pathologies. Very different approach. Then we have the analytic school of Carl Jung, where the core belief is on individuation, that there is a program of life, and when we are not able to navigate the program of life successfully,